Have I told you lately that stalking is a huge red flag for intimate partner homicide? Like, huge. According to stalkingawareness.org, 76% of female intimate partner homicide victims were stalked by their intimate partner or their ex before they were murdered. 76%. The case that we're going to look at today is no different. On Thursday, March 31st at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 33-year-old Amelia Laguerre of St. Albans went to her car that was parked in the parking garage that was used by Northwell Health and other offices in the same building. Her ex-boyfriend, 30-year-old Quayshawn Richard Hines of Bay Shore, was waiting for her, and he ambushed her there.
When Amelia came out to her car, Quayshawn immediately came up behind her. He shot at her 10 times, striking her 9 times. Those shots caused her death.
Medical staff at the facility tried to save Amelia, and she was rushed to the hospital, but sadly she died from her injuries. Tragically, one of Amelia's friends was on the phone with her when the shooting happened.
I was on the phone with her when this happened, so I just keep hearing the shots in my head.
People reported to law enforcement that they saw Amelia arguing with somebody multiple times that day. After an investigation, Hines was arrested and has been charged with second-degree murder. I don't understand why it's not first-degree murder, because it was clearly premeditated. And not only was it premeditated, but he has no remorse whatsoever. You can tell that by the actions, what he did next.
Less than 1 hour after Hines allegedly shot Miss Laguerre, he went to the gym. The murder was a selfish act. It was a calculated act, and it was a cowardly act.
Of course, Hines pleaded not guilty at his arraignment hearing. Police described Amelia's death as a sad case of domestic violence, which apparently is on the rise on Long Island.
We have to do our part from the law enforcement, but we have to do our part in our communities, where we reach out and speak up. Don't let the victims hide in those corners. Bring them forward so we can go out and address these issues.
And I would agree with him and just kind of echo that police can't fix this by themselves. Police definitely need to get some better training in a lot of cases, and there needs to be more resources around domestic violence for sure. But on the victim side of it, we also have to get education. We have to get support. We have to reach out. According to the district attorney, Amelia didn't reach out.
This young lady had never reached out to anybody. She only confided in her closest family members that the relationship was turning violent.
When you're dealing with any kind of violence, you want people to know. You want people to know that you're afraid, and you want people to know what's going on in your life. I know that it can be embarrassing and people can feel ashamed. I have been there, but it's a good thing for people to know. It doesn't mean that you have to tell every single person. Tell people that you trust. There are people that you can talk to at the National Domestic Violence Center. There are other resources for stalking victims. In the book that I wrote, In Case I Murdered, I devote an entire chapter to stalking. Tips for what you can do if you feel like you're being stalked. Statistics about being stalked. Information about stalkers. It is an excellent resource. Go to law enforcement. Go to victim advocates. Go to crisis centers. There are people there that have dealt with this stuff, at least professionally, if not personally, that can walk with you. Please do not try to do this alone.
Police say Amelia Laguerre was a mother of a little boy who worked as an administrative assistant at Northwell Health in New Hyde Park.
She didn't bother nobody. She was never in trouble.
Amelia and Hines dated for almost 2 years before she broke up with him in late 2021. She reportedly broke up with him last year after their relationship took a frightening turn.
She described their relationship as becoming violent, and that Quayshawn had become physically and mentally abusive. He began to damage her property. He burnt her clothes. He damaged her son's belongings, and was suspected of breaking into her apartment in October of 2021.
Officials say that Hines did stalk Amelia leading up to her murder, including showing up at her place of work unannounced in attempts to try to get back together with her. Police say there were no orders of protection in this case, and I don't know if he has a history of it or not. So far, there haven't been reports on his history, so I can't put that in here. If you know about his history and if there was violence or protection orders or anything like that, stalking, anything like that, it'd be awesome if you would comment in the comment section and let us know. The family said that Amelia was the type of person that always made people happy. She was the mother to a 6-year-old little boy named Mason, and she worked as an administrative assistant for Northwell Health in New Hyde Park for the last 10 years. The family says that Mason will be surrounded by his father and his family that loves him.
No son should have to know this mother can't be around. And I hope they catch him. And I hope he gets what he deserves.
She was such a wonderful person. She had a great soul. And Mason had the best mom.
There was nothing she couldn't accomplish. She was just a positive person.
Amelia is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person. She's everything you could ask for in a daughter.
Since stalking was so prevalently talked about in this case by the media, and a lot of times that's not what happens, I wanted to share a few things with you from the stalking fact sheet. The majority of stalking victims are stalked by someone they know. Many victims are stalked by a current or a former intimate partner or by an acquaintance. 74% of those stalked by a former intimate partner reported violence and or coercive control during their relationship. The average length of partner stalking is approximately 2.2 years. 46% of victims experienced one or more violent incidents by their stalker, and 57% of stalking victims were stalked during the relationship, making it very difficult to separate. Due to many safety concerns, stalking victims find that they will sometimes need to stay with a controlling stalking partner to prevent further harm. Stalking after separation may increase the risk of violence. Victims stalked by violent partners report more separation attempts than partner violence victims who are not stalked. There is also a significant connection between stalking and intimate partner homicide. Several studies have found that stalking is an indicator or a precursor behavior for intimate partner homicide. Any stalking case can escalate into violence, but the risk of a stalker becoming violent is increased when the stalker issues direct threats of violence, if they expressed jealousy of the victim's relationships with others during their relationship, and when illegal drugs are used. And one could pretty easily say alcohol abuse too. If you are concerned for your safety or the safety of somebody that you know due to an intimate partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, or somebody who's pursuing them or an ex, please reach out. Don't deal with it by yourself. There are so many people out there who have dealt with this that it's ridiculous, but people don't know that because they don't talk about it. There's way more support out there for people if they would actually communicate about it and not, I promise. I'm going to put the National Domestic Violence Hotline here. They can direct you to other resources, or you can look for something locally. Please don't try to do it alone. Until I see you again, stay safe.